What's up, folks? Sean the Average Angler coming at you with another great video as we're getting ready for our tournament on Saturday. We're going to talk about another bait that I'm tying up, and this is one everybody loves to throw, right? Year-round. This one catches fish year-round. So I'm making a few adjustments because I know my partner's going to have one tied on too. So we want to be a little different. If he's really smacking them and I'm not getting bit, we can always make a change later. But for the time being now, I am prepping with in mind that I want to throw something a little different than he does. We're going to get to that in just a minute. If you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button down there, join the community, become part of the Average Anglers family, where we try and help each other catch more fish. Almost on a daily basis, I might add. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Some of you may have guessed it, some of you may not have, but it is the good old chatterbait. And there's a ton of them out there, folks. It's really hard to deny that the jackhammer is probably the number one chatterbait. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming available now, more and more as the patent expired, and there's a lot of stuff out there. Now, I have some that a friend of mine made me years ago that I really kind of just wanted stuff that was different I couldn't get over the counter. So I had some different colors made. We'll get into that in a minute here. But my main goal this time of year is to throw something green, pumpkinish, bluegill, okay? I want to mimic a bluegill to a point. Could be something that's bluegill, cross, crawdad, depending on where you're at. My typical colors this time of year, and there's a whole bunch of them that you can use. This is one that I really like here. Okay, the number one way to mimic a bluegill is just with green pumpkin, right? You can pair it up with some different trailers. We're going to get into that in a minute. And you have bluegill. The other one I really like, this one's hot snakes, but very similar to Bee Height Delight or something like that, right? Little chartreuse in it, some green pumpkin, some shad skirt, and you kind of got a good mix. Now, the only thing you're going to do different with these is probably a different trailer. You can do a lot with the trailer, as you'll see when I get to what I paired on mine. Here's some of the colors that I really like. This one's called Sunfish Magic in the Hog Farmer, okay? You can see very colorful. Another one I like, Green Pumpkin Delight in the Missile Baits. Goes good with that Bee Height Delight. And then this other one that I like, depending on the color you're using, and this could go good with the one I'm tied up. This is called Goby Bite. Okay, some green pumpkin, some kind of pearl bluish on the bottom with some flake in it, blue flake. So these three cover the spectrum, and there's more. These are just the three that I like to use. Here's one that I had on a bluegill skirt. And that one looks like it is the Sunfish Delight, I believe. Green Pumpkin Delight, okay? All right, so I already know the color my partner's throwing. He's throwing green pumpkin. So with that in mind, I went something boldly different. But still a very popular color for us around here this time of year is Junebug. And then I just put that Sunfish Delight trailer on there. And I have my, trying to get the light on there for you. There I have my bluegill, okay? That's Junebug with some black in it. Like I said, this was made by a friend of mine years and years ago. Really good chatterbug, works well. And I want something different. Look, we're going to a place that gets hammered. Lots and lots of chatterbaits, probably 1 to 2 on every boat, minimum being thrown that day. So I just want something a little different. I talk about it all the time. Be a little different. Fish get tuned into certain baits that's used a lot, and therefore they get a little reluctant to bite. especially on those days where there's higher traffic. Now, with that in mind, we need to make some adjustments on days where there's higher traffic. Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I used to be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I'll tell you, Thursday and Friday, the bite was good. Then Saturday, noticeably slows down. The fish get tuned in and programmed to the activity on the lake, the number of baits flying around, and they can get it all from the noise and the vibration in the water from the boat activity. So just something to keep in mind. We may have to adjust our presentation from what was working Thursday and Friday, may not work Saturday. Now, it could be something as simple as the pace of which you're reeling your bait. Now, I like to put a lot of action into my chatterbaits with the rod tip or reel handle, but I typically use the rod tip to make it dart side to side. Okay? It's a trigger mechanism. On the weekend, the aggressive nature of that might be a little too much for them. You got to try and find out. We're going to adjust throughout the day as we get clues on how the fish want it. But a lot of times, all you need to do is slow down, and instead of slow the pace, retrieve it a little slower. You can adjust depth by using your rod tip. If it starts getting too deep, maybe raise your rod tip up a little higher so that you're pulling at an up angle. The bait will still ride in that zone you want. You just need to find the happy median. Now, instead of using my rod tip on days like today, I could use it and just flick up a little bit, or I could use the reel handle. Now, the reel handle might be a little bit easier to be a little more subtle, because we still want some of that trigger action, even if it's something as simple as stop retrieving. Much like the rattle trap yesterday, I'm not going to stop long. I don't want the bait to sink to the bottom. I want to change of pace. So stop, pick it back up, and it's going to dart, okay? When it falls, it's probably going to fall to one side or the other, depending on the momentum, what side the blade was on. Most of the time, I'm just going to use the reel, put a little jolt in it to make it jump, okay? I like a side jump. Side. And one of the great things about team tournaments is you get to pair some different things than your partner's throwing. Until you guys really dial in what's going on, not a good idea to go out there throwing the same stuff. You can cover twice as many things if you guys are throwing different things. So, chatterbait's still a chatterbait. Where we're going, it's a great bait on the Delta. Just want to throw something different. And then the other thing you can do is pay attention to where your partner's throwing the bait. Don't put it in the same spots. Look for a little different spot, maybe a different angle. It's a good time to either go to the back of the boat if you want to get a different angle. Maybe you walk to the front of the boat to get a different angle. However you like to fish, but change it up. I like to go to the back of the boat. Sometimes I'll throw it the opposite direction to see if we get to pick up a direction. Throw it 90 degrees to the bank. Throw it 45 degrees to the bank until you figure out how they want it. Something else I do that's different than a lot of people, I think, is I throw, here's my setup, okay? iRod Corcus 733. This is the Brandon card called the Wild Card Bladed Jig Rod. It's 7'3", medium heavy. Okay, it feels really light, beautiful fucking casting. I got that paired with a Shimano Bantam. Okay, 6'3" to 1, I believe, 6'2" to 1. The Bantam casts amazing. Okay, I mean, these things, you don't have to throw it hard. So you don't work yourself out as you're casting throughout the day. You can do little roll casts, and that cast will go as far as you want it to. The nice thing about that and the benefit is you become very, very accurate. Okay, and putting that bait where other people might be missing could be a key thing to getting some extra bites. The other thing you're going to see here, 100% fluorocarbon. Okay, that's 18-pound Sunline shooter. I do use braid on occasion, but I really don't like using braid. I just like the feel of the fluorocarbon. I've never had a problem with it. Pairs really well for me between the line and the rod. That fish gets a good hold of that bait. Then I can put the wood to them and they're coming to the boat. Okay, that is a chatterbait rod designed for chatterbait, so it's got a nice bend, helps you get that fish to the boat by keeping it loaded if they jump and try to throw the bait. Chatterbait generally stays hooked pretty well anyway. Always a good idea to pair your equipment together to give you the maximum benefit. That's rod, line, and reel, and this is just a phenomenal pairing for me. It's not my only one. I've got a second one here, and on the second one here I've got a Daiwa CT Tatula R. Again, 6-3-1 on this one. Same 17-pound Sunline shooter. I've got a spinnerbait on there, as you see. Again, be a little different. I can also always change, but I don't foresee needing two chatterbaits. I do need to find a rod to put some braid on because I am going to throw a popper. He's not throwing a popper. I want to throw a popper. I think that's going to be a big deal. All right, so again, pair your stuff, think outside the box, be a little bit different. And if I was going fishing by myself and I was trying to figure the bite out, that's when I would have two chatterbaits tied on, and maybe they're different colors, maybe they're different weights, maybe even different brands. Okay, there's other brands out there that are really good. I just don't have them tied on. You guys know I've showed you quite a few of them. The first gen Copperhead is one that I really like because the sound's different. The blade's hitting those copper BBs, so you get a different sound. Again, we're trying to be a little different than the masses. Typically, that'll lead to a few more bites. All right? I'm Sean, the Average Angler. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.